If I had answered that phone call, I probably wouldn't be here telling you this story. This happened during the 2026 FIFA World Cup in Los Angeles. My name was Ethan Miller. I was 30 years old, working as a video editor for a sports media company. During the World Cup, our workload was insane. Every match meant hours of editing, and highlights had to be uploaded just minutes after the final whistle. That night, I was leaving a temporary media center near SoFi Stadium. The match had ended about an hour earlier. Most of the fans had already disappeared into the city. The streets were still bright with stadium lights, but the noise was fading fast. Fireworks had stopped. The chanting was gone. For the first time that night, it felt quiet. I was walking toward the parking garage when my phone vibrated. Unknown number. I ignored it. Late night calls from numbers I didn't recognize usually meant spam. A few seconds later, it rang again. I declined it. Almost immediately, a text message appeared. "Don't go into the garage." I stopped. I figured one of my friends was messing with me. The number wasn't in my contacts. I looked around. A few people were still crossing the street. Police lights flashed in the distance. Everything looked completely normal. I slipped my phone back into my pocket and kept walking. The moment I stepped inside the parking garage, something felt off. The parking space beside my car was supposed to be empty. Instead, a black SUV was sitting there. Its windows were so heavily tinted that I couldn't see inside. I slowed down. My phone buzzed again. "It's waiting for you." I felt my stomach tighten. I quickly scanned the entire level. No one, just rows of parked cars, and somewhere in the distance, the metallic sound of a heavy door shutting. Instead of walking toward my car, I moved behind one of the concrete pillars. A few seconds later, the interior light inside the SUV turned on. Someone was sitting in the driver's seat. He wasn't moving. He wasn't looking around. He was just sitting there. I couldn't tell if he was watching me, but I couldn't shake the feeling that he'd been waiting for me long before I got there. Then my phone buzzed one last time. "Don't look behind you." Without thinking, I turned around. And that was the biggest mistake I made that night.
The second I looked behind me, I knew I'd made a mistake. About 15 yards away, someone was standing in the middle of the garage. Gray baseball cap, a volunteer-style stadium jacket, a yellow clipboard tucked under one arm. He wasn't looking at me. He was staring at the black SUV. At first, I assumed he worked there. Maybe security, maybe event staff. Then, very slowly, he shook his head. Not at me, at the SUV. A second later, the SUV's headlights came on. The engine started. Without a sound, it pulled away and disappeared down the exit ramp. I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. Maybe this really had all been one big coincidence.
But the man in the volunteer jacket was still standing there. I walked toward him. "Excuse me," I called out. "Everything okay?" He turned and looked at me. There was nothing strange about his face. His eyes weren't glowing. He didn't look injured. Nothing about him looked unnatural. But the expression on his face, it was almost too calm, like he already knew how this night was going to end. He asked me one question. "Did you tell anyone where you parked tonight?" I frowned. "No." He stared at me for another few seconds. Then he nodded. "Good." That was it. He turned around and started walking away. "Wait!" I shouted. "Who are you?" He didn't stop. He didn't answer. He walked across the garage, reached an old service door, and disappeared inside. I ran after him. It couldn't have been more than 5 seconds. When I got there, I froze. The door was locked from the outside. A thick chain wrapped around the handles, a rusted padlock. Dust covered the frame. It looked like nobody had opened that door in months. Every hair on my arms stood up. I had just watched him walk through it. So where did he go? My phone vibrated again, the same unknown number. "You talked to him?" My mouth went dry. I typed back, "Who are you?" The reply came almost instantly. "Don't ask questions. Leave right now." That was enough for me. I sprinted to my car, locked the doors, and started the engine. As soon as the ignition came on, my dash camera automatically started recording. That was normal. It always recorded while I was driving. I pulled out of the garage and headed toward the freeway. It was just after 1 a.m. Even that late, parts of Los Angeles were still busy because of the World Cup. Traffic wasn't heavy, but there were enough cars on the road that I should have felt safe. Instead, I couldn't stop checking my rearview mirror every few seconds. For almost 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then, I saw it. The same black SUV right behind me. There was no doubt. Same license plate, same cracked right headlight. This wasn't a coincidence anymore. I pressed harder on the gas. It matched my speed. I changed lanes. So did it. I took an exit. It took the same exit. My heartbeat was so loud I could barely hear my own engine. Then my phone buzzed again. Another text. "Now they know you're alone." I stared at the screen. They? Was the person texting me working with them? At that moment, I still had no idea that just a few minutes later, I was about to meet someone who would completely change everything I understood about that night.